Good evening, afternoon, or morning. Movie Cat is at the microphone. Today I will tell you a detective comedy story filled with incomprehensible and strange logic. Watch until the end so you don't miss the main oddity. For your attention, the action-adventure film, Charlie's Angels.
Can we get started this millennium?
At your service.
If you like what I do, please like, write any 2 or 3 comments under the video and subscribe if you still have not. A scheduled plane crosses the ocean and one of the passengers, an African priest, is there to trade diamonds for explosives. It's probably much easier to smuggle explosives and jewelry through airport security than, let's say, to a deserted place. An unknown person shows the priest a bomb and for some reason activates the timer. Suddenly, the priest grabs the unknown man, opens the doors and jumps out of the plane. When they fall, a helicopter catches up with them, from which a girl jumps, picks up both men and opens the parachute. The 3 of them land on a boat driven by another girl. When the stranger is on the verge of fainting, African priest takes off his rubber mask and becomes the 3rd girl. Meanwhile, people in the depressurized plane are probably full of gratitude to their saviors. Natalie, Dylan and Alex work for the private detective agency Townsend and perform the most difficult and dangerous missions. Their boss, Charlie Townsend, has never been shown to the agency and no one knows what he looks like. He assigns missions exclusively by telephone and through his manager, John Bosley. The manager calls his 3 best employees, Charlie's Angels. One morning, Charlie gives his next mission to find the kidnapped engineer Eric Knox. He develops software in a communication and a phone connection area. Yesterday, Knox was kidnapped and his cutting-edge voice recognition technology was also stolen. The customer, Vivian Wood, is present at briefing. She is the president of Knox Technologies and she saw Knox being kidnapped. The main suspect is Roger Cohen, the owner of the largest competing satellite communications company. 6 months ago, he wanted to buy out Knox's company, but was refused. First of all, the Angels enter the spa complex, where Cohen comes once a week. Alex dresses up as a masseuse and turns off his consciousness. Angels then search Cohen's locker in the locker room and find his personal PDA. They copy the data from it and leave the complex, but Alex returns to Cohen to finish the massage and thereby not arouse suspicion. The Angels study the data from the PDA and find a video of the abduction, where the unknown person who did it is clearly visible. For convenience, the Angels call him Skinny. Bosley informs Angels that Cohen will have a party this evening, which means there is an opportunity to look for traces of the abduction in his house. Angels forge invitations, and Bosley brings the communication devices, a walkie-talkie transmitter made in the shape of a false tooth. Probably it is impossible, having all the teeth, to get a job at this agency. Later at the party, Alex notices one guest, a kidnapper whom the Angels saw on the video and called Skinny. The kidnapper realizes that he has been recognized and is trying to hide. The Angels catch up with him and attack him with their hands and legs, because the best detectives, apparently, have not heard anything about weapons. Meanwhile, Skinny takes out a saber, repels all the blows of the Angels and disappears in an unknown direction. While trying to find Skinny in the cellars, the Angels unexpectedly discover the captive, Knox, at headquarters. Charlie reminds the Angels that mission is not completed yet. After all, the voice recognition technology remains stolen. Knox explains the essence of his development. The voice of each person is unique, it's like audio DNA. And if Cohen connects the technology with his satellites, he will be able to find out from a telephone conversation exactly whom the voice belongs to and where on the planet now the person is. The Angels believe such a technology that violates freedom should not be allowed to fall into private hands. The Angels know that Cohen will be personally present in his team's garage during the Formula 1 race. The Angels change into mechanics overalls and quietly install a video camera on the Cohen's case, which lies in his trunk. At this moment, Cohen sets up his team's pilot for victory. Natalie takes a closer look and sees Skinny. He also recognizes Natalie and, for no reason at all, leaves the racetrack to hide in the city from a girl of whom he is not too afraid. On the bridge, Skinny turns the car around and rushes it towards the girl. Natalie slows down at the last moment. Her front car part is lower and Skinny runs onto it like on a springboard, and then falls into the water. Vivian assures that the stolen technology is in the most secure place in the Corwin building. With the help of a spy bug, the Angels study the layout of Corwin's building and the internal security system. They are especially interested in central storage. Only 2 of Corwin's deputies can enter there, only at the same time and only if the security system confirms the fingerprints of one and the retina of the other. First, the Angels, dressed as exotic dancers, steal a bottle of beer and copy the fingerprints of the first deputy. Later, the Angels then put on German folk costumes and, pretending to be at their own address, dance in front of the second deputy. Bosley scans his retina using a specially designed trombone. When everything necessary has been collected, the Angels arrive at the Corwin's corporation. Alex introduces himself as a performance improvement coach and gathers everyone in the conference room. While all the staff's attention is focused there, disguised Natalie and Dylan pass biometric checks at the central vault. Then they need to overcome the sensors, which react to any change in mass within a second. Natalie, using a somersault, deceives the sensors, gets to the main computer and establishes a connection with Corwin's servers. The Angels report their success to Knox. Vivian offers to give her unlimited access to Corwin's servers so she can find the stolen program there. But the Angels are against it because it is not ethical to give the customer access to all of his competitors' data. Only Bosley has access now, and when he finds the program, he will remove it from Corwin's server. The Angels begin to think that Vivian is playing her own game, which means Knox is still in danger. Dylan, who likes Knox, volunteers to check his house and improve the security system there. At Knox's house, Dylan notices a photograph of 2 military men, and Knox reveals that it is his father with his killer. They were together in intelligence, were the best friends, and then an unknown betrayed Knox's father, so now Knox keeps this photo to remember that no one can be trusted. Dylan is about to leave, but Knox invites her to stay and have dinner together. Meanwhile, attempts to kill are being made on Alex and Natalie in different parts of the city. Also, Skinny finds Corwin and kills him with his saber. Dylan, pleased that she managed to sleep with the charming Knox, walks around the house in only a sheet and does not hear her friend's calls. Suddenly, she finds Vivian sitting in the corner. Dylan tries to hint to Knox that Vivian is a villain, but he replies that he knows it. Suddenly, Skinny comes into the room and Vivian points a gun at Dylan. Knox explains that he needed access to Corwin's servers in order to use his satellites and own audio DNA technology to figure out where Charlie is. The chief of the Angels, Charlie Townsend, who was Knox's father's best friend and killer. Knox shoots Dylan and she falls through the window. Then the accomplices leave Knox's villa to find Charlie. Dylan miraculously survives, dodging a bullet and then getting caught in a hanging sheet. Later, the Angels meet near their headquarters, which explodes right in front of their eyes. The Angels are sure that Bosley is captured by Knox because in order to record Charlie's voice, the accomplices need to wait until he calls Bosley, the only person with whom Charlie has contact. Bosley sits in his cell and remembers that he has a transmitter tooth. He describes to the Angels the place where he is being held, but he does not do it well. Suddenly Natalie hears the singing of a bird in the speaker, which, of course, can be found only in one single place within a radius of 1 kilometer. Arriving on the island, the Angels are separated. Alex must intercept the signal from the roof, Dylan must deal with Knox, and Natalie must free Bosley. Dylan makes her way to Knox, but she is captured again. Knox takes her mouth shut and waits for Charlie to call. At the agreed time, an unsuspecting Charlie calls Bosley's cell phone and speaks to Knox, thereby giving away his location. Alex doesn't have time to interrupt the signal because Skinny attacks her. Natalie finds Bosley and frees him from captivity, at which point Vivian attacks her. Having found Charlie through satellites, Knox leaves Dylan chained to a chair to the guards, and he goes to the helicopter. Dylan frees only her legs and, with her hands tied, defeats a dozen strong men in hand-to-hand combat and then runs to the roof. United, the Angels neutralize Vivian and Skinny. At this moment, a helicopter takes off from the roof and Knox fires a missile salvo at his expensive mansion, only to kill 3 girls. Hiding around a nearby corner, the Angels escape the explosion. 1 minute later Bosley arrives and they give chase to the helicopter. Using a bow, Alex aims an arrow with a cable at the helicopter. The angels climb onto the helicopter along the cable and Dylan ends up in the cabin with Knox. Alex, sitting on the rocket, reprograms it, changing its direct course to automatically aim at the nearest thermal object, that is, the helicopter engine. While fighting off Dylan, Knox fires a missile that circles Charlie's house and returns to the helicopter. The angels jump into the ocean and Knox explodes along with the helicopter. The angels escape and swim to the shore. They go into Charlie's house, but instead of the chief, the girls find only a smoking cigar, hot coffee and a speaker through which Charlie thanks the angels for a job brilliantly done. Later, the girls drink cocktails on this coast with Bosley. They learn from Charlie that Knox's father was a double agent, and for this he was killed by the enemy. The girls invite Charlie to join them, but the chief refuses to show himself to the angels who saved his life, even after it became clear that finding Charlie is real. Even if the angels don't know what he looks like, Dylan turns around and sees a man watching them with a phone in his hands. Thank you for watching. Like it if you also forgot how naive the films of the 2000s were. Ask why questions in the comments and we'll try to answer them together. Also subscribe if you haven't already.